let's try to understand first with the definition of God. So we're going to go about in this way. We're going to understand the definition of God, that when we talk about God, what is God? What do Shastras say that God is? And what are the different ways in which people can perceive God? And then we'll come to why are there so many gods? And if there is one God, then who is that supreme absolute truth? So what is Shastra about that person? And there we'll be talking about and understanding the different identities of Vedic divinities. Like there's always the Holy Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So we'll be talking about them. We'll be talking about Durga Devi. We'll be talking about Ganesha. So we'll be going through in this fashion. So starting with what is God as per the definition. So here the definition has been given in the Vishnu Puran. This has been given by Bhrigu Muni, Parashar Muni, who is the father of Vyasadeva. So he has given this definition that the Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, 1, 2, all strength, 3, all fame, 4, all beauty, 5, all knowledge, and 6, all renunciation is Bhagwan. That is the definition. If anybody you have to test that is person Bhagwan or that person Bhagwan, if he has all these 6 opulences in full, means all, complete, not partial, that it should not be that somebody is more wealthier than him. No, then that person is Bhagwan. That is the definition that has been provided here. So anytime that is our filtration criteria, has this person shown complete opulences in all these 6 aspects, then we count that person or consider that person as Bhagwan. Now next you see that these 3 icons, they're called Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan. Now what are they? They are different ways in which God is perceived. Brahman is basically perceived by a lot of philosophers or Gyanis as an impersonal God, that the God is just basically light and energy, and that is the Brahman. So that is God. So some philosophers think that God is just some impersonal energy and some light that is that energy that is there. So Brahman is one aspect. Now here the point is, this is not incorrect, but it is not the full truth. And we'll take it with an example. So there is an example of a king who sent 3 people, 3 of his known subordinates, to go check out that there is something known as a train which is coming. It was the first time that a train was ever being introduced in that city, passing through that city. So go tell me what a train is. So these 3 people went. The first person stood on the platform, was looking out, and suddenly he saw some light coming towards the platform. So he immediately ran back and told the king that, oh, a train is basically light. The second person was still, the second and third person was still there. The second person waited, saw that there is a train, the train gave sound, a horn, it had a structure, it had compartments, and it was coming towards the platform. He also ran back and said that, oh, you know what? No, a train is not light. It's also got compartments, and it's got a horn, and that is a train. The third person again waited, and the train came till the platform. He went inside. He saw that, okay, there are people sitting here. It's got compartments. It's got a canteen facility. It's got an engine. Got a place where people can sleep. So he took all of that and went back to God, went back to the king and said that this is what a train is. Now, each of them were correct. It was not that anybody was wrong. It's just that the first and second person's information was incomplete. So similarly, these are the 3 aspects in which God can be understood. God can be understood as Brahman, which is basically the effulgence or the light which is coming out of God. So it's energy or light, and impersonalists are generally attracted to this. Second is the Paramatma feature. Paramatma means that God is present in each and every one of us as a super soul. So we are Atma, and Paramatma or the super soul is present amongst all of us. Yes, this is also true that we have God within all of us. Who is attracted to this? These are basically dhyan yogis. If you see people who have been meditating in one position for many, many years, they are basically meditating on the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So that is one feature whom dhyanis or people who are mystic yogis get attracted to. And the third is Bhagwan. Now, Bhagwan is basically a person. It's a personality who is possessing all these six opulences. He's got a form, he's got his own abode, he's got his likes, dislikes, he's a person himself who's got all riches, all strength, all fame, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. And who is attracted to the Bhagwan aspect, the person aspect of this are basically bhaktas or devotees who can have a personal connection with him, which is a bit devoid in the first two aspects or the features of God. So with this, we have Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the complete and full aspect of God where he's a person and you are interacting with him. Brahman is effulgence, the light which is coming out of God. And Paramatma is the fact that he is the Supreme Father. So he is present in each and every living being. Okay, so we will move on to the opposing views that are typically there. This was there in the poll also. So the one option was that all Vedic gods are equal, but they are same aspects of different Brahman. So certain philosophers feel that these gods that are coming are basically coming from Brahman. Everybody is equal. And the second viewpoint is that gods have specific positions and purposes. And they are running the administration of this entire material universe or material creation. And they are fulfilling some functions on behalf of the Supreme Being. So in that case, this is the correct answer, the B option. So I think 75% of people had opted for this, that gods have specific positions and functions. So that is the right answer. And what is the evidence of that? We'll come to that. So here is a picture of our Indian government. So when we come to people who say that the government should do this, the government should do that, we should understand that government is a very big word and it comprises of a president, a vice president, a prime minister. It's got Rajya Sabha members, Lok Sabha members. Then it's got state governments, chief ministers who are handling each states. It's got Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad. It's got different ministries. There's Ministry of Internal Affairs, External Affairs, Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Human Resource. There are so many ministries that are there and all of this is government. But are each and everybody's position the same or equal? No. Everybody's got different jurisdictions. Everybody's got different authorities, different powers. Some have more, some have less, but they all form part of the government in ensuring that the country is running properly. So in a similar fashion, let us understand who these demigods are. Demigods are basically the entrusted leaders of these conditioned souls. Conditioned souls are us, as jivas who are in this material world. So the demigods are basically our entrusted leaders. They are improved conditioned souls. They are better than us. And they are representatives of the Lord in this material creation. So some examples are given here. There is Indra, Agni, Vayu, Varuna. They are in charge of different functions. So Indra is in charge of rains. He's a god of the heaven. So he's in charge of heaven. Agni is the lord of fire. Varuna is lord of water. Vayu is the lord of air. So they're all in charge of these particular functions. They're entrusted by the representative as representatives of God in doing the actions or helping in the material workings. So what does Srimad Bhagavatam say about demigods? That demigods amongst the conditioned souls, so they were jivas like us only, who developed pure consciousness of Lord, but still they had some desire. So it was not that they were 100% purified. They still had some desire to lord over material energy. And hence, in such mixed consciousness, they were put in the service of God. So God put them in his service, that you manage the affairs of creation in different capacities. So the demigods, they live in heavenly planets for one's years, approximately 10,000s of years, according to the demigod time, till the results of their pious activities are exhausted. So what this point here is trying to say is that the demigods also have a lifespan. It is not that they are eternal beings who are eternally in this role. No, they also have a lifespan, and they also have to come to an end whenever their timeline is. They will also depart when their credits are exhausted. So who do they work for? Okay, so as per the Rig Ved, Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suryaha. It translates that all the suras or these devtas, Devi Devtas, they always look towards the lotus feet of Vishnu, which means that the supreme, that whom they are looking forward to, is basically Vishnu. They are all representatives of Lord Vishnu. So we come to the question of who is the supreme personality of Godhead then. Let us understand what different people have to say about this. So we have Lord Brahma. In the Brahma Samhita 5.1, he says, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sajjatananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. He says that Krishna is the supreme deity known as Govinda. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no origin and is the prime cause of all causes. So here we can see Lord Brahma himself in his Brahma Samhita telling that Krishna is the supreme deity, Govinda, and he has a spiritual body, means that God has a form. It's not that he is Nirakar or he is formless. He has no origin and is the prime cause of all causes. Often we see people asking that, अरे फिर भगवान को किसने बनाया? अगर भगवान ने हमको बनाया, भगवान को किसने बनाया? So that goes against the definition of God only. Because God is somebody who is the origin of all. He has no origin. So similarly, here Brahma is confirming this, that he has no origin and he is the cause of all causes. Then we come to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva confirms in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ya Paramam Ramhasa Saksha Trigunai Jiva Samjinitat Bhagavatam Vasudevam Prapanna Sa Priyohi Me. Any person who is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature as well as the living entity, is actually very dear to me. So here he is also confirming that Krishna is the controller of everything that exists here. And we come to Lord Krishna himself declaring it in Bhagavad Gita. There are many Shastric evidences of Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are just some of them which we have compiled and displayed over here. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10 says that this material nature, which is one of my energies. So we have to understand this, that material nature, the world that we are living in, is one of his energies. He's got other energies as well. It is working under my direction, Krishna's direction, O son of Kunti, because he's telling it to Arjuna. Arjuna is the son of Kunti. Producing all moving and non-moving beings, means he is the one who is producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. This is also very important because this means that this material world was created, it has annihilated, it is again created, again annihilated, means we have been going through the cycle of birth and death multiple times. It's not that as jivas we are eternal, we are taking these bodies multiple times. Material creation has been going on for many, many years. And this is important to understand because the demigods, the devtas also that we are talking about, they are also a part of this material world. And this material world, then when it is annihilated or it is completed, that time their job is also completed. So it's not that demigods are eternal in terms of their functions. As jivas, everybody is eternal. Then Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So here he brings on that there is a spiritual world also. And everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So he calls those people who are worshipping him directly wise, because of many reasons, which we will be coming to in the next slide. But here, primary importance is that there is a material world we are living in, there is spiritual world also. Both of these are coming from Krishna. Now, a big question, because a lot of people say that, oh, but Krishna is so an avatar of Vishnu, then how are you calling him supreme? Shouldn't Vishnu be called as supreme? So this is answered in the Brahma Samhita again, where Brahma says that the light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, is the same in its quality. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations. So here, basically saying that the original candle is basically Krishna. And then he expands himself into Vishnu. So Vishnu is coming from Krishna. It's an expansion of Krishna. It's not different. They're not different in any way. It's just that Krishna is a more personal form of the Lord as a person. And Vishnu is his official form, or his form which he takes when he has to run, maintain the spiritual world and the material world. So as a professional, or as a person who is responsible, the owner of the universe, is that the formal form of God is Vishnu, and the personal form in which he has interactions with his devotees, his friendship, etc., is Krishna. So that is the difference between the two. So we come to Krishna and we understand him a bit more. So let us understand what does the word Krishna means. A lot of time, actually, if we go to see the names that have been given to the demigods and gods have a particular meaning or a quality or a leela or a pastime which denotes them, and that is how we remember the quality of the particular demigod. So when we talk about Krishna, Krishna means he who attracts the minds of all living entities, and that means all attractive. And Na is the supreme transcendental pleasure. He is the person who is full of all pleasures. Another name of Krishna is also known as Hari, because he is one who unties the knot of material desires in the heart of all living entities. So nobody can help you get out of this material creation. No demigod, God can get you out of this material creation except for the Supreme, that is Krishna or Vishnu, because they are the ones who are beyond this material creation. And where is that coming from? It's coming from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying that men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Now, when we think over here, what is Krishna trying to say when saying men of small intelligence? It means that it's not disrespecting anybody. It is not disrespecting any god, any Vedic gods or demigods. It's basically saying that the boons or benedictions which Devi Devtas can give you is very limited and temporary. So if we ask for knowledge from the gods, if we ask for a good spouse, or if we ask for children, or if we ask for a lot of wealth, at the time of death, our body, the opulences or the benedictions we are getting is associated with this body, so that we can enjoy this material thing better. But body is no longer there. When we die, then these boons benedictions are of no use, right? They get taken away because it's not eternal. Our body is not eternal. So that's why it's suggested that the fruits which are coming from them are limited and temporary. Whatever the gods can offer you, the Devi Devtas can offer you, is very temporary for a limited period of time. It's not always. And when we come to the subsequent slides, we will see how the boons given by Brahma, Lord Shiva, to a lot of people like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, how they were not eternal, and how despite getting boons from demigods, they did eventually die. That supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible, and it is a supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. This is from Bhagavad Gita 8.21. Here, again, trying to say that it's the distinction. So the first one is talking about how this material world is temporary, the boons, benedictions given to you by demigods is temporary. And then Krishna tells that there is a supreme abode of mind, which is unmanifest and it is infallible, means it's never going to annihilate. It's always going to remain. And that is the supreme destination. And when one goes there, he'll never come back. Means we're not there to again take another birth, take another death, take another body. No, we're there forever. We're there for eternity. So that is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So let us come to a lot of Vedic divinities that are there in the Shastras. And when we say that, okay, now that we've understood that there is a supreme personality of Godhead and we should be worshipping that supreme personality of Godhead so that we can reach a spiritual abode, how do we approach or how do we understand these Vedic divinities? So now there must be people who must be worshippers or followers of Lord Ganesha, of Lord Shiva, or of Durga Devi or Laxmi Devi. So they have been continuous followers of this. And after understanding that, okay, now that Krishna is the supreme being, how is that approach to be to the other Devi Devtas? So we'll understand that whenever we approach them, what should our prayer be or how should we be approaching them? So coming to Brahma, Brahma's other names are Hiranyagarbha and Pitamaha. If anybody knows any other names of Brahma, you all can put it on the chat if you all have an idea of any other names of Brahma. Brahma is the secondary engineer of the universe. Why secondary engineer? Because Revati Mataji in, I think, the session on the Vedas, she had explained this universe was first created by Mahavishnu. So Krishna expands to Vishnu, Vishnu expands to Mahavishnu for creation. So the universe has come out of the pores of Vishnu. So that is then from one universe, there is Garbhodakshai-Vishnu, from whose navel Brahma comes. That's why he is known as Hiranyagarbha, because he came from the navel or the Garbha of a golden navel of Garbhodakshai-Vishnu. So Brahma is the secondary engineer because the first primary creation was done by Mahavishnu, and then Brahma got the ingredients and everything from Garbhodakshai-Vishnu, and then he could go ahead with the further creation or the secondary creation. So the primary creation is called as Sarg and the secondary creation is called as Visarga. So Brahma is in charge of the Visarga. So he was entrusted by the Lord to create different species of living entities according to their past deeds. So depending on what karmas the living entities had, Lord Brahma then gave everybody their respective bodies, put things together, the planets, all the other Devi Devtas who are supposed to be in charge of different aspects of material creations. So he did that. Brahma represents the mode of passion. So there are three modes in which this entire material universe operates: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So passion is basically the desire to be lording over material energy. So he represents that, because to create something or be creating something, you need to have some passion for it, right? I mean, when somebody goes in the kitchen, something, bhook hogi to hi wo kuch jaake banane wale hain. So similarly, he represents that mode of passion. And a very interesting fact for people who may not know, Brahma has a lifespan of 100 years. So Brahma is not an eternal being. When his lifespan ends, that is when 100 years of Brahmaji. Now 100 years of Brahmaji is different for us and different for him, because the planetary systems that are Brahma lives in his Brahmalok or Satyalok planet, where the timelines or the time function is different. So for us, 100 years is through astrological calculations, 100 into 12 months per year. But in case of Brahma, it is 311 trillion years. Trillion years, that is the difference. Typically, how can we understand this is that if you see now that monsoon will come in Mumbai, there are a lot of insects or flies that come whose lifespan is just for maybe 2-3 days. So they are born and then 2-3 days they are there and then they die. Max maybe 2 weeks is their lifespan. So if you compare somebody whose lifespan is just for 14 days versus a human's lifespan, which is an average 80-85 years, then for that insect, he will wonder, oh my God, a human lives for so long and practically it's infinite, the kind of years that a human lives. So similarly for us, we may think, oh my God, 311 trillion years, but imagine as jivas, we are eternal souls. We are eternal. So 311 trillion years in front of eternity is just like 15 days or 80 years in terms of a human lifespan. So that is the lifespan of Brahma. And so like I was saying, the story of the boons that are given. So Brahma had given a boon to Hiranyakashipu, who's the brother of Hiranyaksh, that because Hiranyakashipu had done a lot of tapasya and he asked Brahma for eternity, that let me never die. So Brahma himself said that I don't have that privilege of never dying, so how can I grant that to you? So that's when Brahma came that, okay, you will never die in the day, never die in the night, never die by a human or a god, and all of that. But we can see the supremacy of Vishnu or Krishna, that he came in the avatar of Narasimha, ensuring that Brahma's boon does not fail. So he respected Brahmaji's boon that was given, but he still found a very nice loophole and a way of coming and killing Hiranyakashipu. So we can see that eventually it is the supreme that kind of controls everything. So even though you may get boons and benedictions from Devi Devtas or even Brahmaji himself, but that is not assurance of anything. Coming to Lord Ganesha, other names of Ganesha are Ganpati, Vinayak. If you all know any other names, then please put it up on chat, because we can discuss that also. And how do we approach Lord Ganesha? So for that, we understand that Lord Ganesha, there was a competition amongst all the Devi Devtas. And this is a very common story that I think everybody must be knowing. So in that, Lord Ganesha decided that they had to encircle the entire universe 3 times. And Ganesha was very smart enough to encircle his parents, Lord Shiva and Parvati, 3 times, and he won the competition. So that way he became known as Vignaharta, means the remover of obstacles. So that's why a lot of times when you see any kind of auspicious activities to be started, Lord Ganesha's name is always taken, because he removes the kind of obstacles that are there. He's the guardian of the doorways. So many a times whenever you're entering temples, Lord Ganesha is always, the deity of Lord Ganesha is always there. Many buildings or many societies that you enter, they keep Lord Ganesha at the doorway so that all obstacles are removed. Interesting thing about Lord Ganesha is that he is the writer of Mahabharata. So Vedyas Ji, when he was looking to compile certain scriptures, he approached Lord Ganesha, saying that can you help me in compiling or in writing the scriptures. So this is mentioned in the Mahabharata 1.1.77, that Lord Ganesha is the one who actually has written Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. So whenever we're reading Mahabharata, whenever we're reading Bhagavad Gita, we can appreciate and respect Lord Ganesha for his efforts that he has put in, thanks to which we are able to receive so much knowledge. So where does Lord Ganesha get his source of energy to remove obstacles? This was revealed in the Brahma Samhita, where Lord Ganesha says that the powers that he is getting to destroy all impediments, they come by worshipping the lotus feet of Narasimha-dev. So Narasimha-dev is none other than the avatar of Krishna or Vishnu. And from there, Lord Ganesha derives the energy to remove obstacles. So eventually it's coming from somewhere. Okay, coming to Lord Shiva and Durga Devi. So like we all know, Lord Shiva and his consort is Durga Devi. Lord Shiva is also known as Shambhu, Ashutosh, Rudra. He's called Ashutosh because he's very easily pleased. So and he's called Rudra because he gets easily angered also. So in Ashutosh, there is a story that there was one uh, person who basically performed a lot of tapasya and pleased Lord Shiva. And he pleased him in such a way that Lord Shiva said, okay, whatever boon you want, you ask me. And the person said that, okay, I'm not getting the name of that the person. So if you all know the name, once I tell the story, you all can put it up on the chat. So he asked Lord Shiva, okay, whomever I touch with my hand, whoever I touch, let that person die. You give me that boon that whoever I touch will die. And Lord Shiva said, okay, I will grant you that boon. He granted him that boon. And that person then very foolishly said, okay, now I want to try this on you and I want to touch you to see whether you die or you don't die. And that was a very tricky situation for Lord Shiva, that he gave a boon to somebody who probably was not so qualified also to be getting such a boon, because he wouldn't have asked for or done such an action. So Lord Shiva then approached Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu came into a particular form and manipulated the person to touch himself, because of which the person himself only died. So that is one of the stories. So even though the boon was given, but you can see the kind of interventions that the divine can play. Lord Shiva, coming to him, the word Shiv means auspiciousness. So he is God for the mode of darkness. He controls the tamogun. So there are three gunas. We had Brahmaji who looked at Rajogun, which was the mode of passion. We have Lord Shiva who looks at the mode of ignorance or darkness or inertia. So he is in charge of that. So when I'm saying he is in charge of the mode of goodness, does this mean that he himself is in the mode of ignorance? Not at all. Lord Shiva has a very special place in this entire Vedic system. So he and Durga Devi are basically, you can say, the mother and father of the material world, because Lord Shiva, he is one of the expansions or energies of Vishnu, which is supposed to be in contact with material nature. Vishnu himself does not come in contact with matter. Because by nature he is very pure. He does not get contaminated by any kind of material energies. So in that case, he comes in the form of Lord Shiva. He mixes into the form, expands into the form of Lord Shiva. And through Lord Shiva, then Lord Shiva interacts with the material energy, who's Durga Devi. And that's how the creation is running. So he is in charge for the destruction of the cosmic manifestations. So any kind of deaths, destructions that take place, or even when this entire material world is coming to an end, he's basically responsible for running all of that. How do we approach Lord Shiva as Vaishnavas? If they have to approach Lord Shiva, he is the best devotee, because Bhagavatam says that Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, means Lord Shiva is the best of all devotees because he is constantly meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is always in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as one of the 12 Mahajans, he also has authority on the Vedic, on the Vaishnava philosophy. So he is a spiritual master for us. So whenever we approach Lord Shiva, we should pray to him so that that we can also become good devotees. And as a spiritual master, he can also guide us to the supreme path. Coming to Durga Devi, Durga Devi is basically the mother of material nature. She represents Prakriti or matter. So the word Durga is actually coming from the word Durg. Durg means a prison house or a fort. So Durga Devi is basically responsible for keeping us in this Durg, in this prison house. Now that seems like a very cruel thing, but if we see it from a motherly perspective, she's actually trying to help us because of all the kind of miseries that come upon in this world to us. We are getting purified. So she is helping us in purification. So it's like giving a medicine to a child that medicine is actually helping the child. So it may seem that, oh, no, medicine is not tasty and I don't like it, but no, it will help us elevate ourselves to a more higher goal of life. So Durga Devi is also known as Parvati, Sati, Kali. All these words mean basically chaste. She is a very loyal wife of Lord Shiva. So both of them run this material world, but they don't have any control of the spiritual world. So that is about both of them. Then we come on to understanding Vishnu and Lakshmi. We've already talked a little about Vishnu, but let's understand the words that are there. What does the word Vishnu mean? Vishnu means all pervasive. So because Vishnu, when the creation happened, in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions that he is present in each and every atom. So it's not only the living entities as jivas that Vishnu is there in as Paramatma in us, but even each and every atom Vishnu is present. He's also known as Narayan. Now, what does the word Narayan mean? Narayan is got two meanings, basically Nar and Ayan. So that is the shelter or the resting place of all living entities. So Ayan means shelter or the resting place of all living entities. That's how. And also Narayan, Narayan basically in the waters, because Vishnu is lying down in the water. So that is also another meaning of Narayan. So Vishnu represents the last mode, that is the mode of goodness, which is the last mode, Sattva Gun. He's an expansion of Krishna and he's in charge for primary creation. He's approached and worshipped by demigods. So we've given the Shastric evidences of all of these. And coming to his consort, who's Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi is also known as Shri, Mahalakshmi, Dharani, Aishwarya, and Chanchala. So Chanchala is a very interesting word because Lakshmi or wealth, prosperity doesn't stay for long. Lakshmi Devi is very chanchal that way. So it's not that you can remain opulent or remain wealthy for very long. But where you can is that Lakshmi Devi is a very chaste wife. So wherever there is the worship of Vishnu, her husband, or wherever there is the glories of Narayana, Lakshmi is always there. As a chaste wife, she's always there. So for us, whenever we approach Lakshmi Devi or whenever we do Lakshmi Puja during Diwali, we can understand and pray to her that let us use whatever wealth, fortune, or power, or any kind of opulence that she is providing us in the service of her Lord, that is Vishnu or Narayana. So she appeared from the milk ocean when she had to have her in the material world. When she had to appear, there was the churning of the milk ocean. It is Samudra Manthan is the name, if popularly known as, when the Asurs and the Suras came together to churn and remove nectar from the milk ocean. So that milk ocean is basically the abode of Lakshmi Devi and Vishnu. Kshirodakshai Vishnu, that is the Paramatma aspect of Vishnu, is the person who lives in the planetary loka, where Kshirodakshai, the milk ocean, is present. So whenever we see in the TV programs that the Devi Devta go and approach Lord Vishnu, he's lying on a milk ocean, that is Shir Sagar. The milk ocean's name is Shir Sagar, like the literal name. Shir means milk, Sagar means ocean. So they both are in the material world having their residence over there. And in the spiritual world, they have Vaikuntha Lok, where Narayan and Lakshmi reside. And they have got many Vaikuntha Vasis who are at their service. So that is Lakshmi Devi and Lord Vishnu. Now, a good question that had come across is, how do these living entities become demigods? Because when I started out, I said that, the demigods are pious creatures, the pious living entities who had performed very pious deeds, good deeds. They are better souls than us. So does that mean that can we become Devi Devtas? So that's a question that let the Shastras answer it. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that for Brahma, the position of Brahma is basically a post. So anybody can occupy that post, and who can occupy it is given in the Shastras. That a person who executes his occupational duty properly for 100 births, he is qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. If he becomes more qualified, then he can approach Lord Shiva. And a person who is directly surrendered to Lord Krishna or Vishnu in unalloyed devotional service is immediately promoted to the spiritual planets. So Lord Shiva and other demigods attain these planets after the destruction of this material world, which means that suppose if we want to become Brahma, yes, that is a possibility. For that, you have to have 100 births where you have executed your occupational duty very properly. Even Shastras, I believe, say for Indra, the post of Indra, if you want to become the king of heaven, that is also a title or a post. So 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas, if you perform that properly with all its methods and hymns and procedures, if you perform all of that, then you are eligible to become Indra. So whenever there is the next creations, that time you are in the eligibility group of becoming Indra. So I think this is from my end. It's 3:50, so I think I'll stop here. And if there are any question answers, then we can take that. Or if there's anything that you all feel that you all want to understand more, did not understand, so we can have that.